So yeah, it's a Korean pop star demon hunting action scene based K drama type of movie. So if you like those kind of things, and you like to have fun, yeah. Yes, guys. So I've just watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm not gonna lie, I liked it. It's got to be at least a solid 7.8. And yeah, let's get into it. All right. So firstly, why you should watch this movie without getting into any spoilers. So for me, I don't know, man. I watched Totally Spies growing up, so I started watching it and I realized, like, okay, I'm probably gonna like this more than I realized that I was going to. Especially, we got to talk about the name. So, yeah, I've seen somebody say, what in the SEO name is going on with K-pop Demon Hunters? Like, let's be real, that name is outrageous. Definitely the reason why it took me a month to watch it because it is so funny. But at the same time, I've got to say, it kind of reminds me of how many weird names we're seeing at the moment in like Webtoon. Like, I'm gonna like shoot some examples, like somewhere like, you know what I mean. And yeah, with Webtoon and loads of really, really specific isekai names. Like that time I got reincarnated as a vending machine has got to be the classic. Like everyone's got like, come on, you've got that name. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, there are some great ones. Like they just don't. Yeah, no, fair enough. But anyway, the name itself is jokes, and yeah. So something that I really did like about this movie is that it uses lots of tropes from other stuff. Like uses kind of K drama kind of stuff. And the K-pop songs are really good in this. So if you're a big K-pop fan, you've definitely already heard the soundtrack, and yeah, you've probably already seen the movie. But yeah, the dance numbers, the way that they do the animation as well with the kind of dance numbers and the songs, top tier. And yeah, it's a really fun movie as well. So you see the characters in their different walks of life, you see their everyday kind of behind the scenes, as well as what they're doing on the show as well, and how they interact with fans. So we get to kind of see them in their own walks of life, and yeah, I think that's really good. That's something that I didn't realize I wanted to see. So yeah, it's a Korean pop star demon hunting action scene based K drama type of movie. So if you like those kind of things and you like to have fun, yeah, then I'd say give it a go. And I'm going to start going into spoilers soon. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, here's your warning. So my initial thoughts going into it when I watched this. So with a name like K-pop Demon Hunters, it's gonna be you know it's gonna be simple and it's gonna be fun. You're expecting that from the beginning. You're not expecting something like Attack on Titan, something grand and crazy. Yeah, it's K-pop Demon Hunters. What are you gonna expect? But the hype was too crazy for me to give it a miss. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you type in K-pop on Spotify, the playlist is the first thing that comes up. You type in, yeah, it's crazy. And my friend was really into it. Like, we were talking to each other in the gym, and he's telling me, "How have you not seen it, bro? I've seen it like 3 times." And I'm like, "It's K-pop Demon Hunters. Is it that serious?" And he said, "Yeah, bro, you're just gonna enjoy the movie. Watch it." And I did. And yeah, you already know the animation is really good. The characters are great, and the way that the elements fill the story is really good because it kind of like the characters breathe through the story really well, and you see the story through the characters, and yeah, it's really good with the demons, with Guima the villain, and yeah, it's like my initial thoughts were gonna be if you have a big bad in a K drama, if someone asks you who would be a good villain for a girl K-pop group who fights demons, who would you say would be that villain? And when I saw that villain, I was happy with the villain. You know what I mean? So next, we're gonna go start talking about the characters. You know, I love a character breakdown. So we got Rumi, who's the she's kind of follows the chosen one and the traditional kind of anime main character. You know, she's got the spoiler warnings once again. She's got she's a half demon. Her friends don't know that she's a half demon, and then her character arc is kind of her facing that shame of not being able to tell her friends something, and being able to trust them with that kind of information. And fair enough to Rumi as well. We see it in Naruto, and everybody knew that Naruto had the nine-tailed fox in him. He wasn't a demon per se, and the third Hokage got him fully ostracized. So, you know, fair enough to Rumi on that one, you know. So yeah, I like that motivation. Mira, the hopeful, friendly, and people pleaser type of character, really remind me of Charles Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You know, it has that friendly energy. You know, somebody that you can easily kind of see yourself being friends with, and kind of puts a bit of too much pressure on being too friendly to other people and not really speaking their mind when they would want to, and kind of having that fear of failure and fear of being rejected. So yeah, Mira, I think she was a fun character to watch. And my personal favorite character was Zoe. So, you know, the hot-headed one, the Sasuke of the group, you know, bit of the black sheep. And yeah, oh, that was another thing as well. The way that they show the characters within the scenes and their character archetypes, it's kind of like we really know the characters really well without actually seeing them for too long. Like, the introduction to the movie is about 20 minutes, and it's just really good how they're likable, relatable, and whatnot. So, to go into that a bit further, so we get to see the usual character archetypes that's really easy to engage with. And one reason why I feel like this is really good, especially when you're in a short movie as well, is when you look at a series like Invincible. So in Invincible, you have their version of the Justice League with, you know, Red Rush or Red Riot, or yeah, not Red Riot. But yeah, so you have those guys with, you know, their version of Martian Manhunter, their version of the Flash, and you know, those kind of other characters as well. And it feels like you already know these characters without actually seeing too much about them. So it can be a really good way of giving a lot of value with lower amounts of screen time. And then let's see. Oh, and that's the other thing that they do really well as well, is that they not only use these kind of simple character archetypes of having that Naruto, having that Sasuke, having their manga more manga like Sakura, to having these kind of K-pop archetypes as well, and putting these with the characters. So you see that with a character, I can't remember his name is, it's like Baby... Attention shit. So with Baby Saja, and you know, seeing those kind of character archetypes and the classic kind of tropes as well. So for example, one scene that really stood out to me was the kind of when they introduce the villains, right? You know, when they have them in the alleyway, and then, you know, they have that classic K-drama moment with the wow and oh my gosh, and oh, they're not going to do this. So yeah, they had that classic alleyway moment, which was absolutely great to see. Really sets up the will they, won't they, and that romantic element as well in a very short amount of time. Like, it takes you about, what, 10 seconds of that scene to really get an idea of how these characters view each other and the attitude, and, you know, what's going to happen later, seeing a hint of that. So that's something that I think that they've done really well. And also, on that note, kind of using that and executing it really well with the animation. So they've done something that I think is really good to talk about lookism. So the start of lookism in the webtoon in the first, I don't know, let's just say 50 chapters, they really use unflattering faces. They really make it kind of weird. You know, it's not supposed to be handsome, it's supposed to be funny. And that's something that they really do really well with the animation here, of really making the characters super animated. And yeah, I think it's just really easy way to make those kind of scenes really fun. And yeah, done really well here. Oh, and that's another thing that I wanted to talk about with the villains as well. So if we talk about introducing characters, there's a few things that I really like to see, and that's what their motivation is, how the characters kind of see them within the world, and also how competent they are. And you get to really see all three of these within the space of about 3 scenes, or maybe about 5 minutes in the movie when they introduce the villain boy band. So you get the first scene where, you know, they're with Guima, they show their motivation, what we're going to do, we're going to take over the fans, we're going to, you know, we're taking over the space, and, you know, that's really good. So we see that in a very brief scene as well, and then we'll go into the next scene, so we really see how kind of proactive these characters are, and how competent they are. So they're in the alleyway, the characters are absolutely, or our main character is Rumi, and the Huntrix? Oh yeah, so when they introduce them by seeing how the Huntrix kind of interpret them, so they initially are thinking, wow, these guys are handsome, who are these guys, what are they doing? Oh wow, these guys, they're really rude, you know, they're mischievous, they're evil. And then finally we see them on stage as their boy band, and we're like, yo, what's going on. These guys have got golden pipes, they can shoot hearts, and it's ridiculous. And they're demons too. So we get to see how competent they are. That these characters are proactive. They're going onto the main stage to go out and attract these fans and steal the fans. Even Bobby's loving it as well. And then we're really seeing, they're competent, they're proactive, and they're likable as well. The fans are liking them. I'm liking them. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm Team Sergio, man. I don't know about you, Rumi. I don't know either. You know what I mean? And as an audience member, I don't know. I'm thinking these guys are pretty cool. So yeah, the way that they introduce those villains within first 5 minutes in establishing their motivations, that they're proactive and that they're capable as well. Yeah, really good writing on that. So the other thing I was just going to say as well, the scenes are really fun as well. They really reflect that these characters in these scenes in really fun ways. An example is when the two groups are clashing in front of their fans at a fan meet, we see the Sergeant boys throw away the flowers from the fans. This was really mischievous, but it kept showing how that reminding us that these characters, even though they're quite fun, quite charming, they are evil still in a really fun way. And I think it really reflected the tone of the show really well in a really concise way, and it was constantly building and building and building. The plot's moving, and it felt like there was constantly momentum in this film as well. And the eating scenes are so funny. We like what I mentioned, those unflattering faces. It really shows that these characters don't take themselves too seriously. We're not just K-pop stars. We are also, relatable and likable, and we like to eat food. And I think that was really good. I think that was one thing that I really liked about the show. And then we get to the twist. So the twist was good. So we see Gino, despite, the shame, he lied about his backstory to Rumi. So, we kind of see that of, when they do their will, they won't they. I want them to be together. I'll be real, man. I seen that scene when them two are singing. I'm like, yo, I gotta see it. And then we know that he lied about his backstory. His mother, his sister, they weren't sacrificed to Guimar, and it wasn't like no backstab deal. No, he knew what he was doing. He wasn't lying to you. He signed up for this, and he's living with that shame for 400 years about what he done. And if you're living with that shame for 400 years and you're lying to yourself about it, it feels organic. I can understand that. And another way of not kind of belittling the character. And I think the villains staying as villains, there is that redemption arc at the end, but keeping the resolution to Rumi and her friends Mira and Zoe, being the ones that saved the day, felt really right for the characters and their character arc, as well as Rumi. The elements of the story really came from her throughout the whole story. Her battling, being half demon, half human, understanding what it means, what the demons actually are, and what she will do despite her past as well. Really good. Let's see. And and I think speaking on that as well, keeping it to the characters having their main arc really kept the weight to them. For example, if Gino or Bobby were more active in saving the day or creating that catalyst or energy to save the day, I think it could have taken away from the story from the main characters. And I'm glad that they didn't do that, and they kept it with Rumi kind of taking on herself, taking on her past, and trusting her friends. So in conclusion, I'm really glad that they did not try to wrap up all the plot points. We've seen this in Game of Thrones. So in Game of Thrones, weirdly, they tried to wrap up all the plot points, and they wrapped up all the plot points, and then they kind of gave us unsatisfying endings for absolutely every character instead of leaving things open, which I felt was, just a really stupid decision. Like, we've seen Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister getting killed under the rubble, and I'm like, this is just an absolute betrayal of both of these characters. Oh my god. So I'm glad that they didn't try to wrap up everything where it would have been a bit unsatisfying depending on the character, because how can you give these kind of characters the time to have a full arc? Like, for example, we didn't really see Zoe kind of talking to her family again, which I'm pretty happy about. Mira, I still don't really know about what her motivation was. I think it was a bit more character related, of having a bit more confidence and self-love for what she does, and not really caring too much about other people's opinion and that fear of rejection. So we didn't really get to see more of that, but at the same time, I'm happy that we didn't. Does the world know about the demons now? So I might have skipped over this part. I was just thinking about it while I was writing and thinking about this video. Is how much has changed in the world now, because there was a massive clash, and I don't know what's happened to the Saja boys now as well, but yeah, I thought I'd just mention that. And also, here's another thing as well, right? Is Guima an Avengers level threat? Because I'm not gonna lie, he attacks people's shame. Like, if he didn't get sealed in the Hon Moon all those eons ago, all I'm saying is, bro was coming out like an Avengers level threat. I just wanted to let that out there. Everyone's got to be every big bad has got to be an Avengers level threat. Respect it. Like, the way that Guima, at the start, he wasn't even that threatening. I was more scared about the boy band, but once he was able to get his powers going, and he's shown that he could affect Rumi the whole time and chose not to because, I don't know, he's a cool guy, or he knew her destiny. That's another thing in this movie as well, right? At what point in your career of being a K-pop idol do you start becoming a demon hunter? Like, for example, do you get scouted for the group and then they say, hey, by the way, how good are you throwing hands? We know you were living in the US, Mira, so, can you throw hands? Or is it all K-pop aspiring idols know that they're going to be demon hunters and then they get kind of like put into it? Are there low-level demon hunters, for example, in JJK? I don't know. I think these are the real important questions. Also, the cat and the crow, I know that they were working, that relationship with, oh gosh, I'm terrible with names. Genu. So, we know that there's the relationship with Genu. He gives the cat the hat, and then the crow took it. I'm still confused about that. I'm gonna be real, like, I don't know what, is going on. I thought maybe it's related to the dad somehow, and that's why she can have this affinity. Also, we didn't get to see a bit more about what happened with her dad and this former K-idol, because let's be honest, this K-idol could have picked anybody within Korea and decided to go for this demon. Why? The important questions. And what's happened to the dad? Is bro still alive? I don't know, but I gotta ask, you know what I mean? Let's see. Oh yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say about this movie as well, something that's really special, the animation and imagery were top tier. For example, when you have that will they won't they scene with Rumi and Saja. I keep pronouncing that name wrong, but it was top tier. It's kind of like the demon issue was unique to them because she wasn't able to tell her friends by this point, and Saja wasn't able to tell the other demons about what he's kind of going through. So it was kind of like this issue was unique to them, and you kind of see them floating above the city, kind of like how they're isolated from the issue. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the funnier art, I can't stress how much I just love the art in this. How it was reflected in different parts of their lives. So when they're in their work mode, they're really competent, and they're taking themselves super seriously. Then when they're with each other, it's more fun, laid back. You get to see a lot more expressionate kind of ways and unflattering faces. And then how they are with the fans is really wholesome in it as well. They take that responsibility really well. And I thought that was pretty cool. Initially, within those first 20 minutes, we already see our main characters as, they're competent because they're doing great as the Huntrix. We're seeing them as relatable of how they're treating their food. And we're seeing them as proactive of how we have this kind of event-based plotline of the Hon Moon. And it's always building up to this. They're always preparing for this. They're facing the challenges that Guima is throwing at their way. And, protecting the people at the same time as well. So it's always being that forward direction. We don't really feel like we're taking a step back in this movie. Everything feels like it's in the right place. So I think that's something else that they done really well. And yeah, so my final thoughts. So one thing that I do want to say is they haven't reinvented the wheel. It's not like, Attack on Titan where it's just going to absolutely blow your mind about what's going on. But it's a bit more like Solo Leveling where they do the simple stuff that everybody does in their stories, but they just do it better. The scenes are really concise. You don't really feel lost in those scenes. The characters are really organic, and the world breathes through the characters. The story goes through the characters. You can really get a lot of information about what's happening just through the little things of how the characters interact. Yeah, really good. And there's just a unique charm to this movie. Yeah, I think it's the dance numbers. And overall, I think it's a really good movie, really good fun, and I'll probably give it an overall 7.8. So yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. Thank you for your time, like and subscribe and all of that. And otherwise, yeah, thank you for your time. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.